What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Therapy on Two Wheels. Today we're going to be talking about 7 tips to make yourself a safer motorcycle rider. Let's jump into it. So out of my 7 tips that I have for you here today, the first one, probably the most important one that I can give you to make yourself a safer motorcycle rider, is just to slow down. A lot of times the motorcycle accidents that you're going to see or hear about are usually because a motorcyclist was going too fast for the roads or the conditions that they were riding in, or maybe even further specific skill level they might have been riding too fast for. So if you do have a curve, for instance, I'm coming up on a curve here, it's probably about 20-25 miles per hour. I know I can go about 30-35 and I'll be completely fine because of my skill level that I have after a few years of riding and my comfortability on this bike, on these types of roads that I've been on several times. And it's a beautiful sunny day, there's no road hazards. A lot of things are taken into consideration when you are going out and riding, but the first one, and the one that you can control the most, is your speed. You determine how fast you're going on your motorcycle, and if you want to make yourself a little bit safer, just slow down a little bit. A lot of times when people are going too fast around a curve, or maybe they're going too fast through city streets, that's when those motorcycle accidents are going to happen. People are not expecting you in a condensed traffic area to be going 70 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour road. Same thing on these types of conditions and these twisty roads. If it has a sign up ahead that says 25 miles per hour on this turn, don't try to go around that curve going 60 miles per hour. Unless you are very skilled at going that fast in those types of turns, it is likely going to be way too fast for you. You're going to go a little bit too wide and you're going to low side, or you're going to slam on your front brakes in a panic and you're going to go right over your handlebars. So just take it easy, slow down a little bit, and you're going to make yourself a much safer rider. Now the second thing I have on here is to look ahead in turns. They teach you this in the MSF course, and anybody that is going to have courses that you're taking in terms of making specific turns, especially U-turns, if you want to look ahead to where you want to go, do not look right in front of you. So I'm looking here, I'm looking way over there in this turn because that's where I want to go. Doesn't matter how fast I'm going, I know that I can come out of this corner on this other side because I can see how much of a curve it is, how sharp that curve is. I don't always want to be paying to what's right in front of me because there might be a much sharper hairpin turn coming up ahead that I'm not comfortable with going at those particular speeds, and I'm not expecting that to come up. So there's a 25 mile per hour sign. I'm going about 35 right now. I know I'm completely fine. I'm in 3rd gear here. I could just lean the motorcycle a little bit and no problem going through this turn at 35 miles per hour. If you're a newer rider and you're just starting out, follow those signs because that's going to make you the safest on your bike, because they're telling you how fast you should be going in that turn. Especially if you're a newer rider, you should be following those speeds. Once you get comfortable with the roads, with your bike, with higher speeds, with lean angles on your bike, then you can go a little bit faster. But always be looking ahead in those turns because you're not expecting the sharp turns to come up when you're focused on what's right in front of you. The next thing, the third thing on my list, is to not tail cars too closely behind. This is a common mistake I see with a lot of riders, is that they're going to be 15 feet, maybe even 10 feet behind a car. No matter if you're 25 miles per hour on that road or 70 miles per hour on the freeway, you should not be following that closely behind a car. And as you increase your speed, you should be increasing the distance of how closely you're following to the car, or if it's another motorcyclist, how closely you're following that other motorcyclist in front of you. Motorcycles are a little easier because they take up less space, and yes, you can just go by them on one side of the road or the other, or in the particular lane. But with a car, you can't really pass them on the side, at least not very easily. So give yourself a space cushion and don't tail too closely behind those cars. You do not have as good of brakes as any of those cars do, and you will not be able to stop as fast as they do. They have 4 tires, they have 4 brakes, they have more traction on the ground, and they are heavier as well. Your lighter bike, your smaller brakes, and your 2 wheels are going to make you go a lot farther when you slam on your brakes compared to any car that's out there on the road. So keep that in mind, is that you cannot stop as fast as those cars, so you need a little bit more of a braking distance compared to those car drivers. So keep yourself safe, don't follow too closely behind them, give yourself a little bit of distance behind, and you're going to be much safer on the road. The next thing, the fourth thing on my list, is the different lane positions that you have within a single lane. So right now I'm riding on this road. This is a 2-lane road. Within my single lane on the right hand side here, there are 3 lane positions. Right now I'm in the middle of the lane. This would be considered the left hand side of the lane, and as I come through this turn, closer to this white line is considered the right hand side of the lane. So there are 3 lane positions that you can break it down in. Most of the time you're going to be in that middle lane. There are instances where it's more beneficial to be on one side or the other. For example, if you're in heavy traffic, if this was a 1-lane road and there was cars in front of me and behind me and I can't go around them at all, I would be much farther over to the right hand side of the road for 2 reasons. One, I can see what's ahead. I can actually visualize how many cars are in front of me. If there's an accident, if there's something in the road, I can see more ahead of me, and I can see what's in the road as well. When you're right behind a car in the middle of the lane, you can't tell what's about to come up to you, especially if it's in slower traffic and more stop and go. You can't tell if there's anything in the middle of the road because you can't see that far ahead. If you're over on the side of the lane, it's much easier to see if there's any types of road hazards, and you can see if there's anything going on up ahead. The reason I would not suggest on being this side of the road, and you'll probably see it a couple times with cars coming across the lane here, is that other cars, especially around curves, those curves are going to be coming much closer to this yellow line. So I do not want to be right here on the line on these types of curvy roads. Be in the middle or a little bit more over to that right hand side. So those are the 3 different lane positions. It depends on the type of traffic that you're in, depends on the type of riding and the type of roads that you're riding on. But know that you do not always have to be as far over to this side, especially you're not on a racetrack. You don't need to go inside, outside, inside. You don't need to be riding like that. If you're on these curvy roads, most of the time you should be trying to stay right in the middle of the lane. That's the safest place for you to be, because if there are road hazards, say there's a bunch of rocks or sand over on the outside, which happens a lot here. I'm in Southern California. These mountain roads, there's dirt, dust, and rocks everywhere. You're going to see debris on here. If I'm too close to that white line, typically I'm going to slide and I'm going to wash out because I'm hitting some type of dirt or gravel or sand or rocks, and that's where all that's going to be over on that side of the road. So it's much safer for me to be in the middle of the lane to avoid a lot of those road hazards. And the same thing on the inside of the lane. That's where all those cars are going to be. If you have a car that's coming too close to you, if you're in the middle of the lane, you should be fine. You know, even if they come a foot over, you're still going to be fine. You're not going to be getting hit by them. If you're over on that left-hand side of the lane and they come across and you can't see them, you're having to swerve really hard over to the side to get out of their way. And if you're not used to swerving and practicing that, it's going to be very difficult for you to get out of the way in time to avoid being hit by that car or truck. Now, along those same lines, my 5th tip is to practice your swerving and your emergency braking. If you're not used to doing that in non-emergency situations, it's not great for you to be put in a situation where you might have to slam on your brakes or you might have to swerve very aggressively, and you got half a second to be able to do those actions. It's not like the MSF course or any other course that you're taking where you have time to think, 2 seconds, and if you don't do it right, you can just go back and do it again. In emergency situations, if I need to brake, I'm progressively braking, downshifting. You need to be able to not think about these things. They need to be reactions in your mind. So if I'm coming up here, I'm going too quick, I need to step on my brake, progressively brake, bring myself to a stop. That should be a natural feeling for you when you get onto the road, and that happens with more and more practice. The more you practice, the more natural it's going to feel, and the easier it's going to be in those emergency situations. Same thing with swerving. If I'm coming around here, I'm too close to this line, I need to swerve to the outside. Are you able to do that in the middle of a turn? And the MSF course, you're doing it going in a straight line, and then you have to go around and swerve. Can you do that when you already leaned as far over as possible? Can you lean over any farther? Or can you jump right over to the backside or straighten yourself up really quickly? A lot of these things that are going to come at you in these emergency situations are things that you should be practicing on your own, outside of the road, outside of these dangers. The 6th thing that I would suggest to make yourself a safer rider is to wear full gear. I know everybody has their own opinions on this, on how much gear that you should use, depending on what type of riding that you're doing. A lot of it's aesthetics for people, and the other thing is going to be comfort. yeah, maybe it's not very comfortable to wear gear, especially full gear, when you're in the middle of Las Vegas, in the middle of the desert, and it's 110 degrees. But for me, I would rather be a little less comfortable, you know, a little more safe, which is why every time that I go out personally, it's my choice to wear full gear. I'm gonna have a helmet, jacket, pants, boots, and gloves, and that is every single time I ride. Now, I do have different type of gear for different riding conditions. So if it is warm weather or if it's raining, yeah, I have a little bit of different gear for each of those. But for you, especially if you're a newer rider, get one set of gear that's going to be good in most of those situations. Get something that's going to be comfortable up to 100 degrees, but that can also go down to maybe 60 degrees, and then you can wear layers underneath that, or buy like a really cheap heated vest to wear underneath if it gets really cold. I choose to ride with full gear every single time that I go out, and I know a lot of people that do, but that is going to be your personal choice. But that will make you safer in a lot of situations that you would potentially encounter when you're out on the road. And the last tip that I have for you, number 7 here, is don't ride beyond your skill level. I do the same thing. I'm not pushing this bike too hard around these curves because I'm not a track day type of guy. I'm not leaning the bike over super far. I don't have that skill level, so I'm not going to ride like that. This type of riding, going 35 to 45, is perfectly fun for me on these types of roads. I don't need to be going 60 to 70 around those curves to have fun. I do this because I enjoy motorcycling and the freedom that it gives you, the kind of free feeling that you have on a motorcycle compared to a car. That's why I enjoy motorcycling. I don't need to be going at high rates of speeds and risking my life to have fun on a motorcycle. But again, that's personal choice. But I would say do not ride beyond your skill level, and that's going to save you and make you much safer while you're on the road. So I hope you like this video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other tips to make yourself a safer rider while you're riding on the road. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all in the next one.